Well, it's happening again, everyone. Uh, all kinds of economic indicators and numbers are flashing red. Things are getting worse as every day goes by. And as I go through some data from payroll numbers, unemployment numbers, things like that, it was interesting. I was having some coffee and a little bit of breakfast in the hotel that I'm staying at downtown Chicago. And there was quite a ruckus as I was eating. I could hear protesting right down in the lobby, screaming and yelling. And there were cops showing up, and I'm like, all right, here we go. We're going live. I called my son. I said, let's get the camera gear ready and get downstairs. But of course, I got to finish my eggs and bacon. But it ended pretty swiftly. The police came and broke it up, but it was employees at a hotel that we're staying at that were getting so upset because their union contract hasn't been finalized. And it's something that I talked about a lot on this channel about a year and a half, 2 years ago, when I said that we're going to start to see eruptions all over the country with protests from employees that are not getting paid enough. And the company that they work for is not the source. And I just saw a video from a local news channel in Waikiki, Hawaii, and they're saying that it's very odd that there's no tourists in that part of the island, that the businesses are suffering, that June was supposed to be bustling and there's nobody on the streets. They said the tourists just aren't showing up. And what people in America are seriously missing right now is that our economy is collapsing. And the only reason you see the Dow Jones near all-time highs, other investments, is because we're in an inflationary spiral right now. And a lot of people are spiraling downward. You know, the protest that was going on the other day at the Black Journalists Association in Hilton, downtown Chicago the other day, it was a job fair. And everyone looked amazing, quite frankly, just dressed to the nine. Of course, they're trying to put on their best suits or best dresses, look the best to play the part so that they get a job, right? And it's sad because the media is dying. All kinds of institutions are dying. There are layoffs happening all over. The layoff that I reported about yesterday on Intel, I mean, they're dropping so many people. They're quitting, they're stopping their dividend, their quarterly dividend. Companies don't want to do this. But there is so much happening right now. If people aren't getting ready, if you're not getting ready by not getting into more debt, to paying off debt, getting your credit score just totally solid, you're going to be in trouble. And I'll just go ahead and do my own self-promotion because I don't take on sponsors or anything like that anymore. I'm put together the Credit Score Pro. We just wrapped filming on it, and we're including it for free on the Mortgage Master course. So it's over 80% off. It's down below if you're interested in it. But there are all kinds of other things you can do rather than reading books, taking courses, going to events, to get ready for this coming just straight up tragedy. And after the election, honestly, it doesn't matter who gets in. It really doesn't. The plug's being pulled, and it's being pulled right now naturally. I believe that it's going to be manipulated even worse to the downside after the election. So it says here, payrolls right here were the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that in July, the U.S. added about 114,000 payrolls, which is a huge miss to the expectations of 175,000. Now think about that size of a miss. They're expecting 175,000 payrolls to be added, jobs to be added, but only 114,000 happened. It's also a huge drop from the downwardly revised June print of 206,000. So here, 206,000, which was a downwardly revised number in June. And now we're seeing 114,000, almost half. That is incredible. The velocity of unemployment is starting to do this right now. We're in this part of the cycle. When it gets to this, I have to ask you, is your job safe? There have been so many people in the last year that have commented on this channel that they lost their job. They've been watching me for a couple of years. They've been getting ready. They lost their job. As a matter of fact, somebody I partnered with on that crypto course, Joe, praise God, he had another job with me putting out these courses. He just received his letter to be being fired, laid off from his job at his school. And he was just, he looks at me and he goes, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have what we're doing together, teaching people about how to invest in cryptocurrency. But not everybody's that lucky, right? So let's talk about some other numbers here. Now it says, let's see, let me go get some more data here. It says the household and establishment survey has been diverging massively. And this time, two numbers at least had the same sign, even if the number of people employed rose by half of the number of payrolls, which is up just 67,000. And we're seeing a massive divergence from the establishment survey, right, of payrolls, and then what's actually happening in the world, the numbers. So the establishment, the all the people that went to school for this kind of stuff is saying, we're still on an upward trajectory. It's starting to slope and mellow off as far as employment. But what's really happening is more and more people are being laid off around our country. And it feels like a sneak attack. The Hawaii story that I saw earlier, that local news channel, you could tell in the voice of the reporters, like, this is really weird. I just don't understand it. We don't understand it. But a lot of people, I think, are walking around dazed and confused. It almost feels like a dream. Now, if you agree, type yes if you do, that it feels like we're almost in a dream, that we're like, is this really happening? Why are people so polarized right now? Half of me wants to joke around and make fun of it, right? Oh, look at those crazy people. But there are so many people that are head down, looking at just trying to make their next step on the street. People aren't walking around like looking at people saying hi. It's like this polarizing thing. I think it's because we have been fed so many lies through the media for the last year or so. Everything's good, everything's great, everything's great. The government is printing money at such a pace just to keep this zombie running. I mean, this is no joke, Weekend at Bernie's. And I mean, we all know, you just watch the news and it looks like the president is the one that's dead and everybody's just dragging him around to the show and, sticking his hand up with a string, a rope, to make him look like he's waving at everyone. That I'm not joking. And I think here we have one of the greatest economic tragedies of this century starting right now, and it's going to get worse. To anybody that thinks this is doom or gloom, I got news for you. You should just hold on a second and listen more than talk. Because if it's the greatest tragedy coming, it means it's the greatest opportunity of your lifetime. I mean, the Chinese get it. Their word for, a tragedy is the same word for an opportunity. But we as Americans aren't wired that way, to think like that. I want you buying up homes and being good landlords and hopefully becoming truly your own bank. People talk about banking yourself and saving up silver. Yeah, that's good and all. But a real bank loans money. A lender is the master. A borrower is a slave to the lender. So we become slaves to banks. Well, why don't we become the banks? Why don't you get yourself into a position? And I mean, honestly, if you feel, and I, no judgment here at all, but if you feel like you don't have it inside of you to become your own bank, just say, that's me. And as you say it, and it's important to say it out loud, because, we can never do anything amazing until we pretty much hit rock bottom. And hitting rock bottom never happens without admission, right? You're like, I really screwed up this time. This is bad. I got myself into this. I feel this way. And then when you feel that and you're like, you don't like it, you're like, I'm going to make a change. Now, there's a couple people saying, yeah, that's me. Now, I want you to realize that you have all the power and authority of your life in the palm of your hand. And it actually comes out every time you speak. So here's what I want you to do. And I want everybody that feels this way to be very honest right now. Because this is, part of me wants to joke around, but this isn't a laughing matter. And I've told you before, my mom passed away. She was my only cheerleader. I could do anything in my mom's eyes. Other people in my family probably didn't think the exact same way. And because of her always encouraging me, it got inside of me. Well, now it needs to get inside of you. You have everything it takes to be a success, but it's all in your hands. So do me a favor right now. And I only use 11, the number 11, because it's louder than 10. It's bigger than 10. Type 11 if you know that you've got what it takes during this next economic collapse to be way better, way stronger than you are now, and that you're going to fully take advantage of this. I'm sorry I'm going off on a divergence. I want to show you some more data, but I think it's really important that we get this thing fired up. We get you fired up. We get you excited. Every single one of you I've ever met, ever since I started this YouTube channel, are full of joy, excitement, with also a cautious fear, like a reverent fear or respect for what's coming. And I love that. You are the most amazing people on this earth. Never forget that. Now, it says here the unemployment rate. If the unemployment rate, and which is based off of a 3-month moving average, rises by 0.5 percentage point from its low of the past year, and that actually is what happened with the unemployment rate surging 0.6% from the year's low. It says that, and I'm getting this information again off of Zero Hedge. One thing to note is that the unemployment rate of 4.3% was boosted 0.2% by people on temporary layoffs, which increased by 249,000, and which that was mostly due to Hurricane Beryl. So expect the rate to slide back to around 4.1% next month, right? But that could easily change. It says right here, for major ethnic groups, the unemployment rose across the board, except for with Black Americans, with Hispanic unemployment rates hitting the highest in 2 years. It says the number of people employed part-time for economic reasons rose by 346,000 to 4.6 million in July. These individuals who would have preferred full-time employment were working part-time because their hours had been reduced, or they were unable to find full-time jobs. Just curious, if anybody sees their current employer laying people off or threatening, because I've also heard that before, there are companies that are actually sending out memos, hey, we're trying our hardest not to start laying people off. Do me a favor and type the name of the company down below. I'm curious because there's a lot of data that doesn't get reported across the nation. Or like what type of industry? Just put what type of industry that you're in, that you're already hearing about it or feeling it and thinking that it's coming soon. Because I want to be able to start finding data before it hits the markets. And this is good info for me. Now it says here, the number of people not in the labor force who currently want a job increased by 366,000 to 5.6 million in July. And that's an interesting thought. The people that want a full-time job, right? That's not a lot of people. 366,000? And if you, we have a country where we're paying people, we're incentivizing people to not work. What's happening with our immigration makes me sick to my stomach, or I'm sorry, lack thereof of immigration. We have open borders, just come on in and we're gonna pay for you. I pay for my own insurance, health insurance. But if I just walked across the border from another country, I can go down to a government office and get a cell phone. I can get health insurance. We're treating immigrants, illegal immigrants. I want to make this very clear. What they're doing is illegal, right? As of the laws, but the laws aren't being enforced. To say this is going to be the most important presidential election in history is an understatement. Go ahead and hashtag who you're voting for next. Keep speaking it. I keep saying it on multiple videos. You know, yeah, we're being censored, but you know, and I thank everybody that keeps hitting that resubscribe button. I'm not joking. It is incredible what's happening. My father called me the other day and he goes, I've been unsubscribed twice in one day. He goes, how is this happening? I'm like, Dad, it's real. This is really happening. Those journalists that were questioning me or trying to make me feel, you know, uncomfortable, which I mean, have you looked at me or you heard me talk? It's pretty hard to do. And here they're just pawns and puppets. They're all slaves. And it's not because of the color of skin. It's because you're slave to your bank, your lender, you're slave to your business. You're the man in charge or the woman. This is absolutely incredible to me that people don't see this. It says here, if you think about it, we're just, our tax dollars are going to funding wars that we do not appreciate or I mean, it's horrible. This Ukraine thing is just in your face, insanely dumb. But it's happening because the left has got servers, computer servers, over there in that country in Ukraine. And it would take an act of war to go get them. And it's not going to be our country because that's where blackmail is. Bad things on those computer servers. It says here, jobs disappointing, wages predictably also cooled off more than expected. And in July, the monthly increase in average hourly earnings rose just 0.2%, which was below the 0.3% expected and below last month's 0.3%. On an annual basis, the 3.6% job growth rate missed expectations of 3.7% and dropped from a downwardly revised 3.8. I made so much money, and this isn't bragging. This is me telling you every single one of you can do it, with side hustles before and during and after the Great Recession. It absolutely blew my mind. And I was able to save 90% of that and invest it. I want that for every single one of you. Every time I walk down the street and I meet you, not only do I want to shake your hand or give you a hug, sometimes I'm super nervous, just letting you know, being real. Because it still blows me away meeting all of you. But I want to hear you tell me that you're crushing it. Like, I started a side hustle. I started a business. I'm making investments that are growing, not being destroyed. Like, do you know how exciting that is? And I want you all to, I don't know of anyone that I'm here to be your cheerleader. I want you all starting Facebook groups and YouTube channels. And I want you doing everything. I want you to be so big. I want you all to be just huge. I want you to just drip success, for lack of better terms. I'm sorry that this turned into more of like a talking point video than data. I know that's what some people, that's all they want. That's okay. But I just want to encourage you. I can't wait for this thing to be really rolling and downward and opportunities abounding. Look at the price of new cars and used cars. They're collapsing. Home prices are dropping so fast, it's crazy. And I know you're being lied to. But I'm watching the multi-million-dollar market, the $1 million market, they're collapsing. The only thing that's moving is a handful of homes, the cheapest homes in town. And inventory is exploding across the nation, just absolutely exploding. And so anybody that's going to tell you otherwise, they're just going to be dead wrong. I hope you got something out of this. If you want the discount, we don't know how long we're going to run the sale for, but it's 2 courses for the price of 1. And it'll show you how to raise your credit score before this thing happens. It'll show you how to finance and save thousands of dollars on homes as this happens. Remember, if you want to set yourself apart, you just need to be ready to access money, other people's money, banks' money, so that you are competing with the banks to taking all these foreclosures off the market. Do you want them to go to a bank or do you want them? The question is yours. I'll put the link down below. I hope you have a great day. The Economic Ninja is out.